Hey everyone, welcome here and glad to have you along. Did you know that I am now on Locals? Locals is an app where you can build community. Think of it like a modern day Facebook group. There you can get free content. I host morning coffees, some afternoon happy hours. You get tons of bonus content, discounts to programs and functions, and it's the best place to connect with me and the subscription box community as we continue to grow. All the videos are free to watch, and all you have to do is sign up on Locals. And the best place to do that is to download the Locals app and search for The Subscription Box Show or Eric Music, or you can go to the actual website, thesubscriptionboxshow.locals.com, and there you'll be able to sign up for free. Hope to see you there, and remember to check out our new YouTube channel, The Subscription Box Show. Cheers, and enjoy the show. What is going on, everyone? And thanks for listening. Today is episode 250. And kind of a milestone episode. I know we've always celebrated the 50th episode, the 100th episode, the 150th episode to a lesser extent, the 200th episode for sure, and now 250. And 250 is a big one. And the reason, probably because you guessed it into the title of the episode, this will be the last episode for now anyways of the Subscription Box Show. And today I just kind of want to reminisce and talk about some of the things that I've learned in the past, the reason that I started the show, the reason that I'm stopping the show, and what I've learned along the way. Also, all the people that I have to thank for this opportunity that was so great. Let's just kind of dive right in. First of all, thanks for listening to all the people that have listened from the start. And we'll actually even talk about some of the milestones that the show has hit. There's some pretty incredible stuff that you might not even know as a listener of the show. So it's going to be a little awkward because I've never done an episode where this is the last one. So I've got mixed emotions. I'm feeling kind of excited about the next chapter in my life, but also sad. This has been a huge part of my life since 2019, 2018, even 2018. The show launched in 2020, but it didn't fit. This started way before going to conferences and learning about this kind of stuff, learning about the subscription box industry, learning about a podcast, what it takes to run a podcast. So all that being said, I'm going to just first of all thank everyone for listening from the start. If you've been a loyal listener from day one, man, I appreciate you. And I'm going to get into that. So I'm going to go by my talking points. I didn't want to miss anything because my head's kind of all over the place. I want to make sure that I cover everything that I wanted to cover for this last episode. And it's the end. I'm not too sure if it's the end forever. There could be another season of this show at some point. But let's just maybe start talking about why I'm decided to kind of stop the show. I think I'm at a point where 250 episodes, whether it's been a Focus Friday back in the day or a solo show nowadays that I would call it, or an interview show, I think I've kind of covered everything that needs to be covered in the industry. It's going to grow and change, and things will continue to kind of morph into whatever it's going to be. But when it comes to interviews, there's one interview I really wanted that I never got was FabFitFun. That one was never able to connect, and I'm going to throw out subbed on that one. They were supposed to connect me, I think. But that was one that's probably the biggest box out there, I would say, when it comes to people knowing who they are and what they do, and they do really well. And they always kind of really rank well with customer satisfaction as well. So I kind of always wanted to have someone from FabFitFun. But that being said, I think I've covered everyone. I've interviewed everyone I want to interview. I've covered the topics I think need to be covered, and the stuff that I don't cover, you're going to find on other shows. I know Julie Ball, she's got an amazing podcast. She covers a lot of stuff. There's just other shows out there that, maybe on the more emotional side, I'm maybe more of on the dude side of things. But that being said, 75% of my listeners are women. So cheers to you guys. So why did I start the podcast? Well, the reason was simple, and I hope you find value in it. The reason I started the show is simply to help other people do what I was doing, which was starting a subscription box business. When I was looking to start my business, there was a ton of business podcasts, but not necessarily a ton of subscription box business podcasts. There was the Box Biz with Steve Krakauer, which was awesome. That was the first one. I think there was 14 or 12 or 8 to 14 episodes, somewhere's in there. But I was big into podcasts, and I still am. And I was listening to 4 or 5 a week. So I as you can imagine, I went through that in a couple of weeks, and I was looking for more. And I'm I'm going to put out a show 3 times a week on subscription boxes, because for people like me who want to kind of binge and learn fast and just eat up all the information that's out there. So I did that, started 3 times a week. As our business grew, our subscription box business, I then went down to 2 times a week. And then recently, again, this year went down on the third year to once a week, just to kind of keep sane, because it was either keep the show going at once a week or twice a week as the business was progressing, or shut it down completely because I just didn't have the bandwidth. And the show never got to a point, to be quite honest, where I could hire out a ton of people. I was hoping it was going to get there. It kept growing throughout, and it's still growing, to be quite honest. The numbers haven't slid. They're still going solid. So that's great. And it should be noted that the episodes, if you just started listening maybe since episode 200 or the last 5 or the last 100, go back. That stuff is gold. It's only a couple of years old, and that stuff is still good from episode 1. Now, if you're going to go back and listen to episode 1 or 2 or anything with the top, we'll say 100 episodes, you have to pardon my rookiness. It's some of it is rather embarrassing, but either way, the stuff that's out there, so the content is good, and it's still good today. So the show's still going to be available on YouTube. It's still going to be available on your favorite podcast player. You can still listen to it. It's never going to go away. I'm going to keep that live through our media host, which is Buzzsprout. So you can always go back and listen to episodes. That'll always be there. And if the show decides to once again, maybe I'll decide to do the show once again one day, then who knows? Maybe we kick it off and go to 251 and start something different and fresh. Yeah, and for the YouTube stuff, like I remember when I started the YouTube channel, I thought that was maybe gonna, and I heard YouTube's a long-term game, so I thought maybe the YouTube channel was gonna come a little bit quicker. If you go, you can see the views. I mean, there's not a ton of views on it compared to the show. So why did I start the podcast? To help other people that are bingers like me who want to just consume a ton of stuff on this specific subject, which is subscription boxes. So I hope that's been a help to you. And why am I stopping it? Quite simply, we've got a new business venture, which I'm going to talk about, that we're jumping into. And we still have our subscription box business, but I'm also going to touch on the possibility of us selling that. Yeah, you heard right. We might be selling our subscription box business. I'm just finding now that it's very tough in the current climate that we are in Canada, specifically with shipping costs and the cost to get goods here, that it's making it harder and harder, and we have to keep raising our prices. So now we're kind of stepping into a B2B business rather than a D2C. So, yeah, so I'll just go into that point right now. Like, what we might be selling our business. We might not. At this point, we're leaning towards probably selling it. And so I'm going to be sort of out of the subscription game, which also is a reason why I'm going to be stopping the podcast. So I've got to really concentrate on the new business that's launched and is working right now, which is a hockey business. And the subscription box business, also, to sell it is quite an undertaking, and there's a lot of time being put into that. So that takes away from the podcast as well. So those are the reasons why the show's stopping. But ultimately, it's just because I think I've covered everything that I've wanted to cover, and I'm the type of guy that I needed to finish on an even number 250, to be quite honest. So I wanted to get to 250. I would have loved to got to 300, but I think 250 is a nice number nonetheless. So next chapter, yeah, selling the business, most likely Louis and Leah. I was going to point behind me because you probably noticed the last few weeks I've had a different sign back here. But Louis and Leah is our mom and baby subscription box. So if you're listening and you're potentially interested in buying something like that, it's got a great Instagram. It's got a great following there. We've got Facebook groups. We've got an awesome clientele. Just reach out, and maybe we can start a conversation. You can email me through the links here, or Eric at Louis and Leah, or Eric at the subscription box, or whatever you want to do. Connect with me and we can talk there. Otherwise, it's going to be going up to the market, and most likely, I'm going to be assuming it's going to be an American. Probably that's going to purchase it. I don't know. We're a Canadian business, but I think it has a massive potential in the States with the landscape there. So, so the next chapter, I guess, quite honestly, is going to be a hockey business. So we're a B2B. So we sell hockey packages, value adding, income adding packages, customer experience adding packages to elite hockey associations up here in Canada. So it's going to be like yearbooks and hockey cards and next gen team photos and digital screensavers and all that kind of cool stuff for kids who play at the elite level during the spring season. So, but don't want to talk too much about that. So that's keeping us super busy and excited. And we're now running 2 full-time businesses, and as you can imagine, it's quite busy. So I also want to kind of go all in on this new business because I think it's one of those where we see a ton of potential in it, and it's inflation and sort of like shipping, all of it has nothing to do with it. It's free. So we don't have to worry about all those things, which I'm excited to not have inventory, not have shipping problems with Canada Post or whoever else, our shipper, our warehouse that we use. So all those things are going to be new. It's going to be just me, my laptop, traveling around trying to be a salesman, B2B salesman. So wish me luck on that one. Accomplishments. So let's go back into the accomplishments. So the show was launched April of 2020. Backtrack that. Let's go to like 2018. That's when I started to really dive into my current job. And if you're hearing there's a ton of noise happening here with this door. There's a winter storm here right now. So apologies for that. If you're picking that up on audio, the banging, that's all it is. It's just the wind blowing around the wreath on the window of the door. So back to 2018, my company at the time, Shaw Communications, offers half the company a buyout. I decided to take it. I'd been with the company for 15 years, but they prorated the buyout for 18 months. I decided we want to start a subscription box, and then thus, listening to podcasts, not finding it. I'm like, I need to also launch a podcast at the same time that I'm going to launch, and I'm going to learn because I'm going to be picking the brain of all these amazing people along the way, which is what kind of happened. 2019, when I finally got the buyout money, I invested over $10,000 into this show. I traveled to Las Vegas, paid $5,000 US, which is like a ton of money. Like I think like $7,000 Canadian, for a one day VIP with a podcast professional. He had a top 25 business podcast called Build Your Network, and he had interviewed the who's who in the business world. You can go check out his podcast. There's literally over 700 episodes, I think now, maybe 800, and it's the who's who of you, whoever you've heard in business on a business podcast or show. He's interviewed them. So he's one who I got to meet in person. He was kind of like one of my heroes in the podcasting world, and he trained me for a day. And I took that, and then I went to PodFest a couple months later in Orlando, and then I launched the show. So the Orlando thing was in March, and the show launched in April, and then COVID hit. So I'm not too sure if that hurt or helped the podcast. Excuse me as I sip some coffee here for the listeners. But either way, it was one of those cool things. I got to meet a ton of podcasters at PodFest, and that really kind of like pushed me to just launch the show. Like I knew I was going to be crappy at it. I knew I was not going to be very good at it, but we just need to launch the show, and then you gradually get good, or better. Anyway, some people are better than others, or more natural at it than others. But either way, anyone can get at podcasting. And if ever you want to launch a show, by the way, feel free to reach out. I won't charge you a penny. I'll just kind of help you out launch a show if it's something you think would help your subscription business, or if it would just, maybe it's a passion thing you want to do about something you're passionate about, a hobby or whatnot. I love podcasts, and obviously you do too if you're listening to this. So if you thought about maybe launching a podcast, let me know. I know there's tons of stuff out there that charge you. I'll help you for free. How's that? Just for listening to the show, I'll just kind of point you in the right direction, give you some advice, and yeah. So if that's something you've ever wanted to do, it's not as hard as you think, and you can do a lot of it by yourself. A good friend of mine, actually, she just got married to my buddy. They're good friends of ours, me and Christine's, and she started a podcast. And I'm like, oh, who does your editing? I was going to point her to Junard, and she's like, oh, I do it myself. I'm like, oh, and she's not techie. That's why I was kind of surprised. Sorry, Alyssa, if you're listening to this, but she's doing it, and she's crushing it. So I mean, you just have to get a mic. I think a good mic, so the audio is good. And then most of the media host softwares now actually have like an automatic mastering thing you can choose, and it masters out the noises and that kind of thing. So I don't know how good it is. I've never used it, but that's built in as well for a lot of them. Or you can use an editor like Junard. So it depends how much you do it. Anyways, so the show launches in April of 2020. My goal at the time when the show launched was to make the iTunes new and noteworthy. I knew if I hit that, I'm getting coached from Travis from Build Your Network, that's huge for your show. You get instant cred, and you get noticed right away, and you get on that page. And we did that. We hit the new and noteworthy shows under the education. And the reason we went education is because business was so saturated. And there was less in the education section. So we kind of like game planned around that. We wanted over 100 ratings and reviews. We got that. And if you're into podcasts, that's huge because most of them don't have much. But we did hit our goal of 100. So we hit the new and noteworthy. Everything was going according to plan. It was getting the guests. And shout out to the first guests out there too, right in the beginning, Steve Krakauer and Saloni Doshi, like all these people that came out and had no business. I had no business interviewing. and they gave me the time of day to give me a shot for the show that had like 0 episodes. Because when you're trying to book a new show, I'm trying to book 25, or started with 10 and then at least 25 bookings. But when you're reaching out to someone, they're like, "Oh, okay, send me a link of your other episodes." I'm like, nothing's been recorded yet. You're going to be one of my first 10, or you're my first 25. So for some of them, legit, we're just like, then forget you, because it's all about what this can do for me. Where others were like, "Sure, I'll come on." And I couldn't believe it. I'm like, you're gonna come on my show. I remember being super dry mouth and nervous, and but yeah, it was good. So thanks for especially those first guests, those first 10, those first 20, and the first one, and from the start has always supported the show, with Steve from Harbor Marketing. So thanks buddy, for that. But to all the guests, thank you for sure. So accomplishments, I didn't even realize this. So this is how much I don't check stats and stuff. I checked this past summer, and the show had over 100,000 downloads already. I was like, that's insane. So we're now, I checked last, it's like, I don't know what the number's at, but we're in the 6 figures of downloads. Like that's insane that hundreds of thousands of people have listened to the show. This one I did not know. We're in the top 1% of all podcasts in the world. Boom. So I say that humbly and gratefully. And that just goes by, I don't know what they base that on, the number of downloads. I'm sure the number of consistency of the episodes, I hope, because that's the number one rule, is to always be consistent with your episodes. And we've consistently launched an episode for the last 250 weeks for sure, or whatever it is. So, yeah, so over 100,000 downloads. We're 6 figures in downloads, top 1% of the podcasts in the world. I was able to get some speaking engagements. I was able to do a ton of affiliate stuff, coaching. I mean, the list is on and on. So those are kind of like the vanity metrics, I would say. When we talk about vanity metrics for podcasts, those are kind of the big ones. YouTube, who knows? I heard YouTube's a long-term game. You put out the content, and over time it gets viewed or whatever. So if I get over 100,000 on YouTube at some point, then there you go. I'm going to get these little YouTube plaques or whatever as well. I think it starts at 20,000 even, maybe, but or that might be members, subscribers. But if you haven't done that on YouTube, please go and subscribe and check it out. It's kind of cool. So yeah, thanks to the listeners, loyal, new, doesn't matter how long you've been listening. Thank you so much. To my guests, the sponsors from day one, Harbor Marketing had been there. Subta's been huge, but all of the, Subly, all of you guys who have stepped up and supported the show, thank you so much. Junard, my goodness, my editor from day one. Junard's been editing this show and the YouTube channel. So good stuff. Thank you so much, Junard. And if you need someone to do your show, please reach out. I would love to connect you with Junard. He is the best, and he is very affordable, but we do appreciate the hard work he puts in. My family for giving me the space and time to record and be quiet. When you have 5 kids that are homeschooled and you're running a couple businesses, it can be very chaotic. So to get these at a decent, I know sometimes you do hear screaming and yelling in the background. Apologize, but it is what it is. But for the most part, it's pretty quiet. It's pretty good sound to the show. So that's all thanks to the family for supporting me all this time. And all the friends I've made, all these guests. I mean, all the guests. Thank you so much for doing the show. Like I've met so many cool people and made so many friends that will be for a lifetime as well. So like I said, the show will still be alive, and I'll keep the episodes live on Buzzsprout and YouTube. Maybe lessons learned. Let's talk about some of the lessons learned I put here. The biggest lesson learned, I probably say, is consistency, and that's for podcasting or business. You got to be consistent in everything, not just like on the content, but in the effort you put in your routine. I think it's a huge thing that I've learned is consistency wins over time. You might not see it in the beginning, but it's like the compound effect. I always talk about that being my favorite book, business book. It's because the compound effect is real. Like the little things you do over time add up. You're never going straight, right? You're either going down or you're going up, and that's all in your effort, your consistency, and in your attitude, I guess. Keep working on yourself is another one I'd say. Biggest learn, like always be working on yourself. If I'm not, I can tell, and I can tell it in my business life, my personal life, and all these different things. I'd say it's also not always about the X's and O's of the business. Sometimes just okay, yeah, all this stuff, whatever. Just give me the X's and O's. What do I need to do? I think Because if you're not passionate about doing something, and I'll be honest with you, like my passion has slipped with the subscription industry, maybe more out of frustration, but, and that's another reason. If I'm not going to give something my 100%, I'm not probably going to be doing it well, which means I should probably stop doing it. So I follow my gut a lot, follow my instincts, and my instinct is telling me the show has had its run, and it's a good time for it to come to an end. As much as I've had, like I said, a ton of fun doing it, but I'm going to follow my gut at this point, my passions, which is hockey, and I found a niche, a hole in that market, and we're going to be going all in on that. It's also seasons of life, right? This was a season of my life, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's friends that are seasons of life. You have these friends that were super important to you, and all of a sudden you just sort of lost touch. But it's okay. That was your friends for that part of your life that you needed them for, and then you meet other people and all these different things. Yeah. So again, it's not about, I just put down, it's not all about the X's and O's of the business, shipping, products, curation, numbers, etc. Because if you're not passionate about your business, the thing that you do, it won't matter how much you know, because you don't care. So, maybe take that as a takeaway. And the reason I started this whole thing was also to help you guys, to help other people like me. So, I just wanted one of those things where life's too short, no regrets. And that's why I'm stopping it now. I don't want to have like this regret that I took it too long and stretched it too thin. I see an opportunity right now with our hockey programs and our hockey card business and stuff. And we're taking that seriously, and I want to go all in on that because, again, I don't want any regrets that, I should have gave it a better try or whatnot. And I was stretched too thin between all my businesses that I couldn't give it a real shot. So that's a real thing. So I think that's about it. I can't believe I'm saying that. Like, this is, I'm going to be stepping off the air here for the last time for the show for now. Who knows what happens in the future? Or and trust me, I've thought about a way. I'm trying to find ways to mix in. So I should maybe tell you the company name. It's called My Hockey Profile, myhockeyprofile.com. The website is just right now a landing page. It's going to be a full out website by the New Year's. So, if you're listening to this in the new year, go check it out. It's super cool. We've been doing a ton of video shoots and photo shoots, and working with a cool company called Shea Coop here in Manitoba to build the website and the branding on it. So I'm super excited about it. What was I saying about that? I was going somewhere. Shoot, I lost my train of thought. But yeah, if you want to check it out, myhockeyprofile.com. That's what we're going to be doing going forward. And yeah, like I said, the episodes will still be on the air. So I can't believe I'm saying goodbye for now. Oh, I know what I was going to with that. Is that with this My Hockey Profile? What I was going to say is that I've been trying to find a way. Like, is there a way to do a subscription box for it? Is there a way to somehow do something now? You know how I don't like inventory and shipping anymore. So I think the way I would do it is a member only kind of a subscription though. So something where people pay, $10 a month. I think that's kind of like a cool thing. If you can find something that people are willing to pay $10 a month, they don't even think twice about it. It's too much work to cancel it. Never mind than it is to keep it going. So as long as there's value there. So I think we're going to try to look for something where maybe it's like a member thing where you pay $10 a month and you have exclusive access to something online. That's probably the direction I would go as a subscription, using air quotation, the subscription for MHP, My Hockey Profile. But yeah, and that would probably get me to maybe do a few more episodes or another, maybe part 2, subscription box show part 2 down the road. But for now, I'd say no. I'd say this is it. This is the end. So as I look into the camera, thanks so much for being part of this. I've always wanted a neon sign too for this thing. I'm pointing in the back for those who are listening in the back of me. If you haven't ever checked out, our logo is super dope. It's super cool. Christine did this logo for us right from day one. I wanted kind of like very much a neon, kind of a bar look to it, because not a bar look. It's a bad like the Tonight Show. You have like neon lights. It's like New York kind of look. And yeah, so I think that it's exactly, and it's a box, and it kind of portrays that. So I love our logo. I'm always gonna love the swag. But yeah, I guess this is goodbye. Thanks for listening, everyone. It's been an absolute slice to do this for you. I've learned a ton, and I've grown a ton, and it's just been such a fabulous experience to do a podcast, a consistent podcast that's reached the top 1%. It might be 1.5%. I'll have to double check, but either way, that's it's hit this level of success. Hundreds of thousands of downloads, and never got to 1 million yet, but hopefully one day. Maybe I'll do an episode 251 once it hits 1 million. If it just kind of like people keep listening to it in the background, I don't know how that works. But anyways, thanks everyone for listening. Thanks for supporting the show, for being part of this. And if you have any feedback, please, I'm going to keep the email open. I'm going to keep all that stuff open. So reach out, and I'd love to hear from you. So that also means if you're in the Facebook group, I will be shutting that down. Or maybe not. I don't know. I'll think about that. Locals will be shut down. Facebook, yeah, everything's gonna be sort of shut down. So I guess I should have probably started with that. So thanks everyone who took a chance on me for those things. And I apologize I couldn't give you more value near the end there. I really did my best. Wanted to grow that because I really think it's a cool thing on locals. The ones that I follow, they do it super well, and it's just a ton of fun because you got this really cool connection with the creator of whatever show you're listening to. So. But yeah, all that's going to have to be closed down because I'm not going to be giving it the time it needs anymore. So anyways, the show will be alive and well, if anything, in our hearts. So one last time, thanks for listening. And just thanks for listening, everyone. Cheers.